Hi out there. I am hoping that I can be heard out there. Please let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to turn on my webcam here as well, hoping, fingers crossed, that you guys can see me and hear me. If you are out there, send me a little message about where you are tuning in from. Hoping that just let me know with a little wave or a hi that you can hear me. I am checking in here from South Orange, New Jersey, and hoping that, oh, yay, Peggy from Chicago can see me and hear me. Oh my God, I am so excited. I see you all. Hello, Tara from New York City. So great to see you here. And Ronnie in the house. Great to see. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm so happy. Look at you guys all over the place. Anne in New York, Connecticut, Wisconsin, Appleton, Wisconsin. My best friend from college was from Appleton, Wisconsin. So I am just beyond thrilled that you guys can see and hear me, because if any of you tuned in last time, we had some technical difficulties. So I am up here in my office, in my attic, and very excited to see you all checking in. South Orange, New Jersey, my husband David is on the phone. I love it. I'm so glad that you're on the computer down there. If you start making me lag, I'm gonna make you turn it off. That's all I gotta say. I'm just kidding, honey. Thanks for tuning in. Mary Walden is on from San Diego. Nice to see you here, Mary. I'm just giving everybody a little bit of time to log on before I get started with the presentation. We're going to have some polls running on the side in the chat, and I'm going to be running through some slides for you guys, basically talking through some of the pillars of my book, Target 100, which a lot of you guys have. I have my big framed giant version of Target 100 that my publisher made for me before it was put out. Oh, my son is on too. He says, "Hey, mommy." You can see that there in the chat. So yeah, I see that people are joining us from all over the country and from Canada and Toronto. Julia, I'm going to show a picture later in my slideshow where I actually was Cosette in Les Miserables in Toronto when I had another life before I was in weight loss. I was an actress. So I'm going to leave my camera on so you guys will see me and know that this is me. This is not a recording. This is live. And I'm going to be watching. I'm going to try to be watching the chat as well and try to answer some questions for you guys as I go. This presentation is just a little bit of a brain dump of my philosophy behind my book, Target 100, and the introduction of an amazing new tool that some of you are already using, a digital version of my book, a digital course, if you will, of Target 100 on the MyQuest platform. So it's a gamified version of my book. So if you have my book already and you want to complement to it, this is something I'm introducing tonight. So I'm going to kick off the presentation now that we've got a whole bunch of people here in the room listening. Keep letting me know where you're coming from. I love seeing all these people from all across the world. But let's get started. Tonight we're going to be talking about lasting weight loss. This is my life's goal, is to help you guys understand not just easier and more livable ways to lose weight, but how to keep it off for good. So I am very excited to share with you my presentation of secrets of lasting weight loss. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself before I jump in, because I think it's a really big, important part of my story. I am not just a weight loss expert, but I am a weight loss expert who lost 65 pounds at my heaviest. So I have some pictures up there, and wanted you to see that I have had my own weight issues over my lifetime. I actually was in my first diet at 14. My parents sent me to diet center, with very highly restrictive program for a 14-year-old. And what I learned was that there was definitely something wrong with me, and that I was filled with sort of guilt and shame as a child, to be, especially at that time, one of the only overweight children in my school. That kind of really formulated me and turned me into a yo-yo dieter, an extreme dieter, if you will. And then I've put this up here so you can see my other life, as I was saying, about Canada, was that I was actually a professional actress, a Broadway actress. I even have a master's degree in opera, if you can believe it. But what worse way to live your life with a weight issue than to be an actress? So I was punished and definitely had so much bad treatment because of my weight. So this is a picture of me as Cosette in Les Miserables in Toronto, actually. I met my husband in Les Mis. He was Amarius. A lot of people don't know that. And we are still singing together today, almost 18 years later. I share this because I want you to know that I've walked in your shoes. And if you are uncomfortable in your body, I know what it feels like. I spent many, many years yo-yo dieting, and then I ended up at Weight Watchers in my mid-30s. And it really changed my life. It was a fantastic program, and it was life-changing for me, having been on mainly just extreme diets. So I actually ended up going to Weight Watchers as a client, and then I ended up working there for almost 12 years. While I was there, I helped basically my roles over those 12 years started in the, seats in the meeting room. And then I became a leader, and then I helped our CEO lose weight. And then he said, "Oh my goodness, Liz, you're very good at this." He said, "I want you to start helping any celebrities that come our way lose weight." So I became the celebrity weight loss leader, and I became the national spokesperson for Weight Watchers. Spent, a season on Dr. Oz. Probably more importantly, I actually spent most of my time on the science team at Weight Watchers, researching weight loss and writing the weight loss programs with the science team, and testing and really being behind the glass while people were watching, while people were losing weight. I would get to watch, how they were learning, and really picked up a lot of information. After I left Weight Watchers, I started my own company. This is now over 5 years ago. I started my own company because I had become a really amazing Weight Watchers expert, but I didn't know very much more about the weight loss industry. So I went to work at pretty much any weight loss company across the world, honestly. I've consulted in Israel and the UK. I've worked in mostly in technology and weight loss. I've worked for Lifetime Fitness. I then even became a personal trainer, and I got certified as a nutrition exercise specialist so that I would know. I wanted to know everything there was about weight loss. Like, I just couldn't get enough of it. I found it to be fascinating, and I wanted to have a fuller picture. So I have been studying weight loss for many, many years now, and I myself studying myself for many years. And what I found to be fascinating is that I've never run across a client or a person who didn't know that there were smarter food choices, right? Like, they didn't know, it wasn't like they didn't know that an apple was a better choice than a Snickers bar, right? Like, they knew that, but there was something happening between that moment at which they made that decision, right? So that gap between action, intention, and action. There's something happening in there for us, right? I did it myself. I wondered, why was it that I couldn't make those decisions? So some of what Target 100 is based on, and the research that I did, is a lot of digging into habits and behaviors and brain science. And what I learned is that it isn't food. It isn't that you need me to say, "Hey, this is the Liz approved food list that has apples and pears and kale and greens and broccoli on it," but that you, if you knew that up to 50%, so 50% of what you do in a day is habit. It's basically that habits are these simple things that we do all day long, and they're just triggers. They're triggered by a certain time of day. It's triggered by a certain thing that you are, if it's 7:30 and I need to get in the shower, I get in the shower and basically I shower the same way every single time. If I watch myself, I go on autopilot, because habits are these things that are just triggered by a kickoff, and then we go into a routine, which you can see here. So there's a cue or a trigger, then there's a routine. So my routine is get in the shower. I always shave my left leg first. I don't know why, but I do. When I try to shave the right leg first, it feels so weird because my habit is to do the left leg. But I'm on such autopilot when I'm in the shower that sometimes I have to get out of the shower and actually touch my legs to make sure I shaved them, because I'm not even there. So 50% of what I'm doing in a day is simply rote behavior that's been actually kind of relegated to the back of my brain. So if that's the case, if I'm simply doing this, then 50% of my food decisions in a day are rote behavior. And that rote behavior is simply being triggered by something, right? So if the anatomy, so this slide is showing you what the anatomy of a habit is. It's just a habit, it's a trigger or a cue, which gives way to a routine, which then gives us a reward. So a habitual food issue might be that we don't eat breakfast, we get overly hungry, we go down to the cafeteria thinking I'm going to get a salad, but by the time we get there, we have a routine that we're so hungry that we can't make a good decision. So the routine is that we overeat. The reward is that we get something yummy and that food releases serotonin. So we feel awesome. But it's not that you don't know you should have had the salad, but the behavior instead of skipping breakfast. So we take this down to a very different kind of a thought process, right? So my tagline through the years has always been, you are not broken, because I felt like maybe, especially as a young child, something must be wrong with me, that I can't get this right. And I've had so many clients come to me, these really successful people, say, why is it that I can do this mega job and travel the world, but I can't seem to crack this nut of weight loss or weight maintenance? And I say, you've just been facing it the wrong way. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, everything is right with you. You have habit patterns. Those habit patterns simply aren't supporting weight staying off. And you also have a issue that we as creatures, anytime we see food, smell food, or talk about food, we're actually triggered to eat it. So I'm gonna repeat that because this is a big concept. Anytime you see food, smell food, or talk about food, you're actually triggered to eat it. So I have a lot about this in my book, right? So if you were back in the caveman days and you had to eat, you caught a woolly mammoth, it's not like you got the chance to say, oh, hey, let's put the woolly mammoth, the rest of it, in the fridge and the Tupperware and eat it for later. So you had to eat the whole woolly mammoth. So our brains, our prehistoric brains, came up with a system in which we could actually overeat. I know you guys have had it happen to you before. If you've ever gone to a restaurant and you've had a dinner and it's beautiful and amazing and you're so stuffed and you think you can't eat another bite until they roll the dessert cart out and you see those desserts. So once your eyes see those desserts, your body, your brain actually gives signals to your body and makes your mouth water, makes you think, oh, I can eat more. So restaurants know what they're doing. They really know to roll that dessert out is going to trigger you to overeat and have more food so they make more money. So if we back this up a little, the environment that we live in is actually triggering, right? Triggering those habits and triggering those routines over and over again, triggering us to overeat. So this really started to hit home as I started to understand the power of this secondary hunger system that we have, and realizing that if I go into Old Navy, right, where I'm supposed to buy clothing, Okay, it used to be a clothing store. Now, when you go to Old Navy and you get to the checkout, they actually weave you through an actual maze of candy and soda and things that are so tempting and so difficult for you to have to stand around. And then they go one step further. They usually have like one cashier, right? One cashier is working. Why is one cashier working at the height of the holidays? Because if you have to stand there longer, the longer you stand there, the more you have to say no, and decision fatigue sets in. So our entire environment, everything from watching the Food Channel to commercials to ads on your phone for food, are triggering you to eat and be hungrier all day long. So if we start to understand this environment around us and the fact that 50% of what we do in a day is just habit, and we need to trigger new habits that actually support our weight loss and weight maintenance, we can start to actually tackle this more like a project, more like instead of just walking into a program and saying, oh, I'm going to start a diet today, or I'm going to start sticking to this food list today, right? Which so many diets are just based on either a system or a food list that is finite and has these sort of parameters that you just kind of say, I'm going to start this without thinking at all about your habits and behaviors that got you there in the first place. And you just slap that food plan right on top of a broken behavior system. You can hang on by your fingernails for 30 days or 60 days, but eventually those embedded behaviors are going to come back. So what I'm showing you on this slide is a worksheet that's in my book. It's called the Behavior Modification Worksheet, and it's the first worksheet I do with every client. And we just sit down and we think about 3 behaviors that we know are standing in the way of our weight loss or weight maintenance. And these are big things. I mean, this is like, you know, hey, I just seem to put everybody else before myself, or I'm always running late, or I never prepare food and I always wait till the last minute. I'm a procrastinator. These are big things that you know are standing in the way of your weight loss. And how those end up manifesting, honestly, are in, let's just imagine that your bad behavior is that you sleep late, right? You press the snooze button 3 times every morning, and by the time you get up, it's too late. You can't eat breakfast, and you go rushing off to work. And every day, just you barely make it to the bus. You get to work. There's no time, so you grab a coffee at the coffee station in the lobby or the coffee cart on the street, and there's a donut there. First of all, there you are. You're seeing the donut, you're smelling the donut, you've had the donut every day. There isn't a chance I'm gonna survive that donut, okay? So understanding that the behavior isn't that there's something wrong with you, it's the behavior of getting up too late to have a healthy breakfast and ending up at the donut cart. So we look into these little ways in which we can change our behavior that will support our long-term lifestyle changes. So just to kind of reiterate these triggers, right? So if you want to trigger any new behavior, and this could be a food behavior, this could be a life behavior. Don't tell my kids, I use this with my kids. They're listening down there, but I trigger their behaviors as well. So down here in the corner of the slide, you see, this is a big one. I have a pillar in the book, which we're going to talk through the pillars of the book in a minute. But one of the pillars is to drink 100 ounces of water a day, which is critical and so important, and it will be life-changing. If you do nothing else after this call but just start drinking 100 ounces of water a day, you're going to have a life change. So down here in the corner, everybody says to me, one of my goals for the new year is to drink more water. I know I should. And then they go about their merry way. And they have every intention of drinking more water. But now you know that you're just a habitual creature and your habit is not drinking water. So in order to have a new habit take place, we are going to have to trigger it. So down here you see, I've got this woman, she's triggering it with her phone. She set some alarms every 2 hours. It pops up and it says, don't forget to drink your water. She also buys a nice little water bottle and she places it right in front of her eyes on the desk to trigger that. by triggering this new routine, she has these rewards or these payoffs where she has more energy. She's losing more weight because she's hydrated and her body is working correctly. And the payoff is this new routine begins to embed itself. So habits are just these things that we do over and over and over. If we trigger something, we can consistently do it. And if we do consistently do it, it becomes us. So I basically take you, instead of saying, hey, you have to have this, X, Y, or Z food list, I'd much rather we dig in on the habits and behaviors and then plug in the foods that you and I both know are the better choices, right? I really believe in you guys. And I think, Andrea is asking a question about the 100 ounces of water. She says, can some of your 100 ounces be sparkling water? Haha, I'm drinking seltzer right now. I happen to love seltzer. Yes, part of your 100 ounces a day could be seltzer, decaf teas, even one of your coffees can count. The newer research is that you don't lose that much hydration from caffeine. So taking in, an 8-ounce cup of coffee, you're gonna hold on to that. So, yes. So I'm gonna have a little water. I'm going a mile a minute here, guys, because I love this, and I'm so excited to share this information with you. But please feel free to ask questions up there in the chat because I can see them. So that said, right, I want you all kind of sitting there thinking about, what are the behaviors? What are the little things I could change? Could I bring my lunch, right? And you may have that intention, but you're never going to remember. And underneath that habit, there are tasks, right? So say you're like, I know if I brought my lunch, I could basically then I could eat that and I wouldn't have to go downstairs and be triggered by all the things I see in the cafeteria, and I would do a lot better, right? That's a great new habit. Behind that habit, there are a bunch of tasks, right? So you're going to have to sort of schedule, when do I get the food that I need? I need to set a sticky note on my fridge that reminds me to make my lunch, and then this is the big one, is a sticky note on the front door that reminds me to take my lunch to work, right? So I don't leave it at home. My desire for you guys to see weight loss in this new perspective is that I'm trying to remove emotion from the process for you guys. I know this is a really, really hard concept. I literally just got back from a speaking event in my town, and I could see that this was really hard for people to understand. But I'm trying to get you to see this in a much less emotional driven way, and see it as, you kind of have this brain that's prehistoric. It's a little bit broken. It's still kind of back in prehistoric times. It still kind of wants to make you eat everything it sees. So if you can start to understand when you're being triggered by something that you're seeing, smelling, or hearing about, or triggered by a thought, because thoughts can be triggers too. I just had a fantastic meeting with a woman who is really learning about thoughts as triggers. And a lot of us have, I know I had just seriously negative thoughts as I was losing weight about, like, well, it's never going to happen anyway, so whatever. That thought alone can trigger an emotion of hopelessness or despair, of just not caring, which can then trigger a routine of eating because it's never going to happen anyway. Right? So I'm trying to get you guys to understand that even just a thought can be a trigger for a particular behavior. And also that if we can take emotion out of the process, right? Because this really is, your body is a science project. This is a science project that we're working on here. What I found out, again, this prehistoric brain, I started to do some research because I used to have these funny experiences at Weight Watchers. As a receptionist, or as the person that weighs people in, sometimes in these massive New York January meetings, I'd be weighing sometimes 100, 150 people in an hour, right? Like, I'm just like cranking it out. And I started to really see these patterns. I'll tell you, it was so funny, is that right before someone gets on the scale, it's like a confessional, right? They stand there, they get real nervous, and they start telling, oh my God, well, I was so good until Thursday night. I had a friend over, and we ordered pizza, and I was gonna eat one slice, and I ate 4 slices, and I had 37 points, and I ate 38 points, and I felt so terrible that I ended up eating 275 points. And I knew that I had done that same stuff myself. Like I had those same behaviors. And I started researching, like, why is it that when we make an error, a perceived error, we then go much further down the road? So it turns out I discovered that guilt and shame, the feelings of guilt and shame, actually highlight the reward center in the brain. So anytime you feel guilty and shameful about whatever it is, right? If I feel guilty, I went over my points, or I ate something that wasn't on the food list, or I did something I didn't mean to, I feel bad about that. We highlight the reward system so that we go and do more of whatever it was that we were thinking we didn't want to do. So for us, this may manifest in the food realm. For others, it's gambling or shopping. So every time we feel guilt or shame, we actually do more. So it really started to drive home for me that I needed to figure out the way to bypass guilt and shame. Like, if guilt and shame highlight the reward center, what turns it off? What helps me the most? It turns out that if we, as they say, look at the brain under an MRI, anyone who's feeling guilty or shameful, we can see that reward center actually light up. So go to the drawing board and think about, what is it that bypasses that? It turns out, same thing, if you look at the brain under an MRI and someone is practicing gratitude, okay, really just being grateful for anything. It could be like, I don't know, grateful for my dog's eyelashes that are so cute. I can barely take it. I can release serotonin and endorphins and oxytocin and all these things. I can release them into my brain, and it can bypass the guilt and shame that I'm feeling. So I started to realize that all of this weight loss talk was built around deprivation, guilt, shame, fear, and being less than. And could I shift the conversation and say, no, this is just a brain response that we're having to a broken system, but we're not broken, okay? So I'm here to say, okay, I am a huge wino, right? Like, I love my wine. You all know this. I write about it in my books. Okay, so number one, I can tell you about triggers, right? I cannot keep an open bottle of Chardonnay in my house, or each time I see it, I'm going to be triggered to drink it. My mouth starts watering. I want a glass of wine. So I usually don't bring it, or it, like after New Year's Eve, when there was a little bit left over, the next morning I poured it out because I knew there was no way that I was going to survive that, having that trigger, having that thing around me. So we think about these things, we set up our environment correctly. And then I did have a few drinks on New Year's Eve, even a couple more than I wanted to. But guess what? On the day of January 1st, I woke up and I just practiced gratitude, where the old me would have been like, why'd you do that? You're so stupid. What's wrong with you? Why do you do this? I practiced gratitude. I was like, well, it was only 3 glasses instead of 5. I did great, girl. And all of a sudden it changed that conversation with me. I got up, I had a healthy breakfast, I took my run, and I could start my day in a space of loving me instead of what was wrong with me. So Charmaine is saying she's the queen of self-sabotage when it comes to weight loss. Well, and that too, it's so interesting that we have these habitual patterns. And that's what I'm trying to get you to dig in on, is if you are that queen of self-sabotage, where is the trigger? What is the trigger? Is it a thought about yourself, a thought about your body? Is it a piece of food in front of you? Is it a commercial? Is it, what is it that's triggered you to that behavior? I like to think of it like a game, really. Like, how can I go and uncover all of these new things about myself? So we're talking about a lot, but what's most important that you take away from this call as you start to think differently about weight loss, as you start to think about yourself as just this habit creature who's doing all these things that are habits, is the thing I want you to think about the most is your environment right now, okay? So as I said, I don't keep an open bottle of Chardonnay in my environment, right? I would be really careful to take some time to get everything out of your house or your office. I would do everything I could to, put things away in cabinets that I can't reach, or just, give them away to a food pantry if you can't have them around, and make sure that your environment is clean, right? Because the more you see things, right? Like my kids, they have to have foods. Number one, I buy things that I don't like, but number two, I make sure that they're not out where I see them every time I go in the pantry, because then every time I go in the pantry, I have to decide, am I going to eat it or am I not going to eat it? So this slide talks about the fact that if you can clean up your environment, right? If you can get, the junk out of the house, if you can begin to maybe have a few things in the house that you can eat that are really supportive of your weight loss, that are easy to grab, then you behave differently, right? So your behavior shifts, and because you perhaps had a few things in the house and you brought your lunch, you start losing weight, which makes you feel capable, right? All of a sudden you're capable of this. You're like, wait a minute, Liz is right. If I just have the lunch, I'll eat the lunch. But if I don't have the lunch, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to be triggered and triggered and triggered and triggered. So there's nothing wrong with me. It's just I got to behave differently and trigger the new behavior. So you then feel capable. Then suddenly you begin to believe that maybe you can lose this weight, because this isn't about something being wrong with you. This is about a systematic moving through and changing of habits and behaviors. And then you identify yourself differently. So Anne says it's a palpable shifting of your focus from demeaning negative scarcity to positive, abundant gratitude, and your mood absolutely lifts. That's exactly right. And there is science to prove it, that there is serotonin being released in the same dosage as a low-level antidepressant if you will practice gratitude. And what I can tell you about gratitude is the more you practice it, the more it becomes your default and go-to way of thinking, being, and acting. That's the exciting thing, is then it becomes your habit to just be grateful for everything. So these are the driving concepts behind my book, Target 100. I really wanted to change the conversation from, okay, if I just do Whole30 or keto or X, Y, or Z, I'll be fine, to I love all programs, right? That's why I say on this slide, I love Weight Watchers, I love keto, I love whatever works for you. If the point system seems to really resonate with your brain, I love that. I love it. We all work hard enough to find something that makes sense to us. So if that makes sense to us, then we need to honor that. So I wrote Target 100 as a diet agnostic manual. In my mind, it wanted to be the joy of cooking for weight loss, right? Like it would be the book you give to your daughter to teach her to never feel badly, but to systematically change habits. So if you don't want to do my pillar of nutrition, which is 100 grams of carbs a day, which is a very livable, not super low carb diet, it's very simple. It's pushing you away from processed foods and into whole foods, and away from low fat dairy into full fat. Really starting to focus on a reduction in your carbohydrate intake, but not even a low carb like Atkins in any way, much more moderate. Then count points and do the other pillars of my book, because you will get better weight loss. I guarantee it. If you start to think about movement and exercise, stress, sleep, and hydration alongside of whatever your brain works best with in terms of a nutrition pillar. Okay. So that said, I do want to jump in on this question from Anne, because she says, why is it that afternoons and evenings are so much harder than mornings? So this used to be like a joke I had at Weight Watchers. Everybody knew it. Was like, I used to say, like, I've never heard anybody has an early morning eating issue. It's always a late night eating issue. So if we think about the brain again, and we think about our lives, we are making Okay, so we relegate things to the habit sphere of the brain, the back of the brain, so that we don't have to think about them over and over. If I had to decide how to wash my hair and shave my legs every day, we'd be in trouble by the time I got to 2 o'clock, right? I would have had to like make those decisions over and over and over again. So that's why your brain puts things in the habit realm. We got to love our brain. We got to love our habits. They're there to protect us. They're there to get us through the day. So as we go through the day, we relegate most of our stuff to the habit sphere. Over 50% we're doing on habit autopilot. The other 50%, we are actively making decisions about which direction to take and how to do a project and who to call and what to ask and how to work and where to go and kids and whatever. By the time we get to the afternoon and evening, we are experiencing something called decision fatigue. So this is why I say, you really want to start looking at your afternoon and evening behaviors, right? I have another funny line. I say I've probably helped more people change their lives by moving furniture in their homes than I have by giving them a food plan, right? So I'm usually trying to help you understand that in the afternoon and evening, you really need to have a lot of triggers telling you like, okay, if you have any of a smart home that will turn your lights down at a certain time, or timer on your phone that will turn off your notifications and change your screen to dimmer, it will trigger you. I've moved side tables from the side of a couch where you used to put your late night snack. I'll move the side table to across the room because you're going to go on autopilot and go get your snack because you're tired. And you're going to come back and you're going to try to put it on that side table, and that's going to trigger you. And you're going to go, oh my gosh, I wasn't going to have a late night snack anymore. I'm trying to break the habit of eating after dinner, or whatever that habit is that you're working on. So that's why, Anne, I hope that's helpful, why afternoons and evenings are harder. So I would be digging in on those habits very quickly. So just a really quick and easy example of this, of the pillars of my book and what's happening, and why, I'm not just talking about food, because this is not just about food, is that stress is it's probably the #1 reported health issue that we have in this country. When we survey employees in large corporations, it is the #1 health concern, and it is really driving your weight. I have a whole chapter dedicated to this, but let's just imagine that your habit is to be running late, right? And you miss the bus, and your boss is going to get so upset you may even lose your job over this. What happens is you have this huge adrenaline surge as you're running for the bus. And basically that adrenaline surge, same if we think about being prehistoric, our bodies needed to make us run from danger. So the adrenaline rush was for us to run away from some lion that was going to eat us. In order to power that run, your body goes in and it grabs a tiny bit of your fat stores, okay? It grabs a little bit of the fat stores and basically powers your run. What happens just immediately after that, so you see in my slide here, just a little bit later, not only does she make it to work, but she sits there and all of a sudden she's so hungry. So she's hungry because the adrenaline grabbed a little bit of the fat stores, and then her hormones said, oh my goodness, we're in trouble. We've lost some of our fat stores. Let's make her hungrier. So all day after a stressful event, you're going to be hungrier, and you're not going to crave vegetables. You're going to crave salt, sugar, and fat. So a big piece of my program is really understanding, first of all, what does stress feel like? When are you feeling stressed? Annie says this is a drawing of her life. A pizza and a donut floating above your head is that's a good life. So yes, you're not. So what these hormones do is they don't make you crave vegetables. They make you crave salt, sugar, and fat, because salt, sugar, and fat release serotonin, and serotonin reduces the anxiety that you are feeling from that event, from that stressful event. So again, this is why I'm telling you, you can only hang on by your fingernails on a food plan Like just looking at food and being like, no, I'm just going to follow the points, or I'm going to just do Whole30. Like, they're good food plans, but they're nothing if you don't start looking at these other places. If you don't start addressing stress as a huge driver for eating, when you finish your 30 days, you're going to have stress in your life. And the habit that lives in this back area of the brain that you don't even know is there, your habit is to eat out of stress. Okay, so I really need you to start thinking about weight loss in this much more sort of holistic process, right? Of nutrition, yes, but movement, right? So movement versus exercise for me. Movement is your everyday walking, emptying the dishwasher. So, so important. Exercise, okay, movement and exercise are separated for me. Exercise is really you stressing the heart and stressing the cardiovascular and musculoskeletal system. Stress, you've got to start to address your stressor, as I said in that slide. Sleep as well. Sleep. If you are not getting enough sleep or quality sleep, your hormones are out of whack in ways that you will not believe. I've tried to make this book as simple as possible so that you weren't reading sciencey jargon. I think you can kind of tell from my vibe here. I just want to make things simple for you, but sleep is critical. And figuring out how much sleep you need and what it is that you need is going to be the biggest piece of this. So my whole philosophy is, this slide is like one of my favorite, is that this is a brain game that we're playing here. And this is all about your mind and about brain science and about habits and about thoughts. Another interesting stat that we discovered, that they actually estimate that 80% of the thoughts you've had already. So basically our day is just us regurgitating thoughts, and they're not usually nice thoughts, right? They're usually kind of punishing thoughts. And then 50% habits. So we're recycled thoughts and habits all day long. I'm trying to wake you up and get you as an active partner in your own life, disrupting these habits and erasing negative thoughts with gratitude. So Peggy asks, how do you suggest determining the right amount of sleep? So basically what we know is that pretty much every single one of us needs between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. So in the book, I have some worksheets that you actually track your sleep for a couple of days, 2 to 3 days. And then we play around, right? We play around by pulling it back. I'm in the pillars of the book. It's called Target 100 because, first of all, Target, now that you know about guilt and shame, I went and played archery with my sons one day, and it was like an aha moment that I was aiming for the bullseye, but I was never hitting it, of course. I was hitting all the outer circles, but I was still getting points for that. And I was like, wow, if I could get my clients to understand that they don't need to be perfect, that if they just aim for the best you can do and give me a B, you're going to be fine. Give me a B. Stop giving me A's and F's, because A's and F's average out to C's, and C's aren't going to give you weight loss, but B's will. So the targets are for you to understand that you don't have to be perfect, that you should be aiming for 100-ish in every pillar. So 100 grams of carbs in a day-ish, right? So if you hit 109, that's fine. If you have 85, that's fine. Somewhere in there. So you can't do that thing that was happening at Weight Watchers, right? You just can't say like, oh, I had 109, I'm a bad person, I'm going to overeat to 6,000 carbs. And then it's 100 ounces of water, 100 minutes of movement every week, 100 minutes of exercise, 100 minutes of stress relief, and 100 extra minutes of sleep. So I play around with you in these worksheets. So the book is all worksheets. It's, and not all, it's kind of, one of the things that inspired me was The Artist's Way, which is a book for art, for actors, basically, and artists that have a lot of worksheets inside. And this one helps you to kind of play around with your sleep levels, and makes you really understand, when do you feel your best? So I think it's not just about how many hours you need, but the quality of your sleep. So we work on that in the book. So somewhere you're going to end up somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep is going to be right for you. But every single one of us has our own formula. That's my whole thing about Target 100. You got to write your own weight loss plan, and I'm here to help you do it with my sheets. Hillary asks if you can have too few carbs, or how close should you be to the target. So Target 100 is a moderate plan. It is not low. Atkins asks you to take 50 grams of carbs in a day. Keto, which is what you're probably all hearing about in the media and stuff right now, is a super low carb plan where you're eating less than 25 grams of carbs in a day. Target 100 is very moderate. You will be able to have something like oatmeal in the morning, but because of that, you might just not have rice at dinner. I just want, the biggest piece that I'm trying to emphasize for you is eating less carbs will not mean more weight loss. Okay. I think that was a big error that happened in the world of calorie counting, right? We all were like, well, if I eat less calories, then I'll lose more as we become crabbier and crabbier and crabbier. Carbs, I need you to find that perfect spot for you where you're getting weight loss, but you're still getting to have your glass of wine. You're still having chocolate in the afternoon. I mean, I have dark chocolate every day. I have a couple of glasses of wine every weekends, right? So I need you kind of in there figuring out what yours is. But my days never look the same, right? One day I'm at 89, one day I'm at 110. I mean, like somewhere in the range of 100. So I hope that's helpful. Oh, Randy. Oh my goodness. Hi. Randy is an old Weight Watchers member who's on, and she's asking any recommendations on the right amount of healthy fats. That is one where nutrition plans other than keto paleo don't really address or encourage. I really, really, really encourage healthy fats. I want you adding fat to every meal. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, nut butters in your oatmeal, avocados on your salad, cheese, nuts. So again, for me, what you're going to try to do, oh shoot, I do. Haha. I carry a little bag of stuff around in my purse so that when I get stuck on like New Jersey Transit, honestly, what I do with fats is I kind of buy everything single serve. So this is pistachio nuts. I could eat a whole bag just knowing myself. So the way that I kind of control my fats is that I buy everything single serve. So I buy nut butters. So if I want to have nut butter and a banana as my breakfast as I'm running out the door, I buy these single serve pouches, and then I can't get in trouble with the amounts. So I hope that helps. I'm not really super into getting like crazy on the macros. I honestly, I've helped thousands of people now lose weight on Target 100. It's not about that. It's about the fact that you're putting avocado on the salad, and then when you get to the checkout, you're getting the cookie that's at the checkout too. So if we start to go there, I hope that that's helpful. We're just going moderate, but when you do fats, a great way is to think of like portions, like, you know, this is a great, this is a little Baby Bell cheese. That's a great portion. That's a good portion of cheese. That's like perfect portion of cheese. So like when I make an omelet, sometimes I'll just be like, does it look like about the size of a Baby Bell cheese? Yeah. So hopefully that helps you. So what I'm very, very excited about is to introduce that a digital version I was telling you about at the beginning of the call, is that I've just launched this digital version of Target 100 based around the book itself. There is a very exciting new platform that allows me to actually work with you. Myself, as you're seeing me on the webinar, it can now actually work with you via text through the platform of my digital program, MyQuest platform. So I learned basically at Weight Watchers that accountability and support are the actual secret sauce to this whole thing, right? Learning, having a group, having community, and having support. So I'm just super excited to announce that my new digital platform is a 6-week program that you can do that has actually 36 missions. So you log on, you join the plan, and it's kind of like what, to me, we designed it like Candyland, right? So you kind of move through each pillar. We start with nutrition, we go into hydration, then movement and exercise, stress and sleep. You get videos from me, you get worksheets from me, and all the while you can be texting me. So now for the first time ever in real time, I can work with you. So the program itself includes me, and it's asking if it's an app. So it is an app that you can download on your phone, but also, as I'm showing here in the slides, you could use it on your desktop as well. But 80% of our users are using it on an app. And the app is so fabulous and so simple and so straightforward. And you will be texting me right from your app, me personally. So you will get my personal coaching absolutely every step of the way through your little Candyland journey. On top of that, we actually have an amazing community of supportive people. So again, accountability and support being the two things that matter. So inside of this amazing digital platform, which is a freestanding platform, right? So this is the thing I'm excited about the most, is that this is a totally secure, safe platform, that this is not something where what I'm seeing now with a lot of Facebook groups and things like that, people are just opting out because they don't feel like their data is safe. So this is a safe, private, closed app where your community is a community of like-minded people who are all doing the same thing, who are all trying to do the same thing and work in the same direction. So you have, not only do you have personal coaching from me, so there's a little button up in the top corner if you just want to text me directly, but there's a whole community where, sort of like a Facebook community, but completely private, you can ask the questions that you need and get answers from the entire community of people that are on the platform. So the thing that we did, and why I wanted to do this webinar this way, is that we based the entire app and program around habit formation tools, right? So I was teaching you how you need triggers and reminders. They're built in to the app. So if you are starting to work on water, you're going to get triggered to drink more water. You are going to be able to set those alarms and get private messages from me, texts from me, and videos from me that support whatever habit that it is or pillar it is that you're working on. So I, as I say, am so hugely excited. We're just launching this, and it's my dream, like literally coming true, that my mantra has been since forever is I just want to help more people. And I have this really strong feeling that technology is going to be the thing that sort of turns the tide. Excuse me. I feel like technology is going to really be the thing that turns the tide on this obesity epidemic, because suddenly, you know, these platforms and educational tools and habit formation tools are all at your fingertips. So basically, I am going to be able to work with you personally on this platform. The coaching and what we're introducing is, the coaching itself is going to be limited to the first 100 people who sign up and are active in a month, because as you can imagine, it's hard for me to be able to answer all of those texts in real time. So it is a limited spot for you guys, but it will be available, and the link is here in, we do have an offer here that I think you guys should be showing to actually join this as well. So the offer that we have going is for just $99. You'll join for $99 a month. You'll get, as I say, personal coaching and texting from me. Mary's asking me, what is the app called? We have a link in the room for you guys to join it. And we're also going to send out a email following the call. If you want to click through the link and watch the video that I made and read up about it before you join, you can. But basically, it's as well a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you are not happy, you will get your money back, because that's just how I roll. Like, I need you to be having success and be happy with what you've bought. But so it's going to be a very exciting thing. We've already kicked it off. I actually wanted to say there are a couple people here in the chat room that I know are already doing this, that have started, because Mary Walden is one of them. I know she's in there because I can see her name come up when I'm texting her back. So what is it? It is an app that you download. You can also use it on your desktop. You basically join it. It's going to give you a mission. You're going to follow up to 36 missions. It could take you about 6 weeks to complete the course. Some people take it at their own rate. It's totally self-directed, so you could take longer, or you could do it faster if you wanted to. While you're doing your missions, right? So whatever that is, like I'll give you an example of one of the missions is to add a fruit and or a vegetable to every meal and snack for 3 days. I ask you to add a fruit or a vegetable to every meal or snack. And basically, what that does is it pushes out a lesser food choice, and it makes you fuller, and then you keep losing weight. And basically, you're working on that mission. You can be asking me questions. You can be posting things in and asking for help from the community. And when you complete that 3 days of putting that meal or that vegetable or fruit with your meal or snack, then you move on to the next. You sort of graduate on to the next mission. So this is a habit formation tool. It is a way for you to basically create the habits around the pillars, and to basically sort of become healthier, but build a healthy lifestyle. So I am here now to answer any questions. I'm taking a look here over in the chat. Mary's asking, what is the app called? The app is called MyQuest, the Target 100 program. I'm thinking we have a link up in, there will be a link for you guys and an offer for you guys to, I just want to make sure that the offer is showing for you. Yep, it is. And we have a link to the course. And Anne had a question. She's asking me, how can I make weight maintenance more doable and stay psyched? So that's such a great question. I mean, I've been maintaining 65-pound weight loss for many, many years. And I think for me, what I've learned is that it has to always be about trying new things. It has to always be about, playing around. I play around with my exercise. I constantly am trying new classes. Most places give you 1 week free or a trial class free. I am constantly shaking it up with food, taking, hi Sandra from Texas, checking in. But yes, I'm constantly trying new things, to be honest. Like, I do have an interesting life in that this is my life, that weight loss and weight maintenance is my life. I have to actually test a lot of diets, that come out, right? So if a diet gets very hot, I don't believe that I can be an expert unless I've actually experienced something. So I've had to test keto. I've done vegetarian diets. I've done everything, anything that's new and comes out, I test it. And I think that that's made me realize that that's the key, is that keeping it fresh is all about experimentation. So the fact that I've had to try these other eating styles, I've always learned something from it, either a new recipe or a new breakfast, or that I like a different food, things like that. So you guys do have the link up there to sign up for the Target 100 MyQuest digital course if you'd like. As I say, we're also going to email it out. I hope that helped a little bit, and just keep it fresh. And Angie, thank you. I do really want to help you guys be successful. And Annie's asking how you address portion control. She's the kind of person who will overeat health food. One of the biggest things, and there are these health halos over food. We are all overeating by a country mile in every way, shape, and form. I think that we have to begin to understand that we will eat whatever's on our plate. And so portion control, if we can literally begin to, there are several habits or behaviors around portion control. Number one would be to switch to your salad plates. I usually move people's clients' regular size plates up and move them to salad plates. We'll eat what's on our plate. So if we eat off of a smaller plate, that's big. If you will sit down while you eat, science proves that you will eat 30% less. If you will put your fork down in between bites. I have a game that I play with families that are trying to get healthy. We put a timer on the table and we put the 20 minutes on, and everybody has to put their fork down in between bites. So slowing down what you eat, making a smaller plate, sitting down while you eat. I know they sound inane and they're huge habits. Not multitasking while you eat, learning to just eat with no TV or sounds or magazines or anything, huge. So I would say portion control is going to be about those things because none of us wants to stop eating. I don't. And I can eat like a truck driver. Like if you put it in front of me, I'll eat it. So, and then if it's healthy food, I keep telling myself, well, it's healthy food. Again, what did I say? A thought could be a trigger, right? A thought can be a trigger. So Mary's saying, I hate to exercise. Do you think that this program can help me overcome that? So I definitely think so. I think it's not that you hate to exercise. I think it's probably that we haven't found the right exercise for you. And it would be much more about experimenting and playing around, but also figuring out what time of day. So I have an exercise worksheet in the book all about like figuring out. And exercise can take a lot of forms. I've had clients who started dance class. Like I have a client who now dances 6 days a week and she's so happy. She doesn't feel like she's exercising at all. So I think it's probably more about us figuring out, you know, it doesn't mean you have to go to a gym. It could be something really fun. People are loving these new apps that you can use on your phone where you exercise right in your house. It could be that you like something more fun like Zumba. And maybe you need to do it with a friend. I think it's more about how you're doing it and what you're doing. Again, what are the habits and behaviors around the exercise? So with that, I'm just going to say thank you guys for spending this time with me. I have loved every minute of it. I am so excited to have discovered sort of this whole webinar world. I'm going to do a lot more of these. So please, please, please send me your topics you want to hear me talk about. Please join me on MyQuest if this has been resonating for you. I would love to work with you personally, and I can't wait to see you there. And I appreciate you spending this time with me. Angela was asking if she should read through the book before signing up. Here's what I will tell you. So we put up a link here in the chat to buy the book. We put a link here in the chat to buy the Quest if you want to start doing the digital online companion. That's what I would call it. It's a digital online companion to the book. So I think working through those things at the same time are going to be amazing for you guys. I think if you are on the fence about doing the digital course, get the book and read it, you know, and really just start to kind of understand the worksheets and the philosophies. And then if you're ready to take it to that next level, and you're a digital person who loves apps and things like that, it's really, really fun. Because I just don't want weight loss to be anything painful anymore. It should be fun. It should be like discovering something about yourself, and it should be a new perspective for everyone this year. Okay. So thank you so much. I can't wait to do another one of these so soon. And Happy New Year to all of you. Bye.